Thank you very much. We want to acknowledge the leadership of all political parties that form part of the progressive forces here in Parliament. These include the leadership of Umkhonto weSizwe Party, the African Transformation Movement, the United African Transformation, and the National Colored Congress. We want to salute the people of South Africa who have rejected the former liberation movement that has enjoyed political power for the last 30 years. Today, that era has come to an end. It is beyond doubt that the former liberation movement failed to turn the political power into economic power. As our forefathers in the liberation struggle in the African continent said, political power without economic power is meaningless. Mr. President, you indeed spoke like a badly wounded buffalo yesterday. You spoke like a given-up soul. Nothing inspirational came from that tired speech yesterday. You didn't speak like a person who declined electoral support with 17% to less than 50%. How on earth do you repeat a SONA speech that made you lose elections? You were saying to South Africans yesterday, in no so many ways, that you learned nothing out of these historic elections to an extent that you want to continue business as usual. We grew up being told that some of you were collaborators, but we gave you some benefits of the doubt. It was said in this house that you personally wrote a letter to the apartheid police accusing your fellow comrades of planting communist ideas in your head, and we refused to believe that story at that time. It now makes sense that despite the apartheid regime being so oppressive against all freedom fighters, you peacefully and uninterruptedly attended university and you were given your first job by the ambassadors of apartheid, capitalism, and colonialism. Without a hustle, you bought yourself a first car and a house with the assistance of the Urban Foundation, which was anchored by the Ruperts and the Oppenheimers, while your comrades were sleeping under trees in exile and languishing in jails. We asked ourselves as to how did you form a union of mine workers without being a mine worker? Can't you know? You were the conveyor belt between the workers and the super exploitative mining capitalists in South Africa after the Oppenheimers and Anglo-American had concluded that the mine workers must be organized. Our elders in the struggle have made allegations before in this house that throughout the struggle against apartheid, you were insulated from any form of arrest and harassment by the apartheid system. Towards the end of apartheid, you shockingly placed yourself at the center of the negotiation for the end of apartheid. No one knows how you arrived to be at the center of the negotiations of our liberation. It now explains as to why so many compromises and capitulations were made, leading to a situation where economic
Malema,
power
can you
remained
take
in
a
the
seat?
hands of the white
Honorable
minority.
Malema, can you take a seat? There's an order by the Deputy Chief Whip.
Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP, you instructed that the Honorable member, Honorable Malema, must sit down. Before I raise my point of order, Honorable House Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP, the Honorable Malema is casting aspersion on the President, on the persona of the President. Can he please bring in a substantive motion to support his statements that he's making in the House? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. the order is sustained. Rules does make provision that if the member imputes improper motive against another member, you may do that by way of a motion, and therefore that has to be substantiated. And therefore, Honorable Malema, can you then proceed with your speech? I see there's another point of order that's been raised on DA.
Withdraw what?
Thank you, Madam House Chair. Madam House Chair, I rise on a point of order in terms of Rule 92.10, which indicates that when a point of order is raised during the debate, the member called to order must resume his or her seat, and after the point of order has been stated, the presiding officer by the member raising it, the member raising the point of order must likewise immediately resume his or her seat when she has concluded his or her submission. Madam House Chairperson, can I just get clarity on the fact when the Deputy Chief Whip of the ANC raised the point of order, the member at the podium remained standing, and I would just like your ruling on that. Thank you.
Honorable Malema, we have requested that you take your seat, but despite that, you did. Thank you very much. As I have ruled on the previous order, that was raised by the Chief Whip, Honorable Malema, can you take your podium and apologize on what you've just said? The order of casting
I must apologize for
aspersions.
not sitting down.
Can you take your seat, Honorable Malema? The order was raised with regards to casting aspersions on the President. Can I be allowed time, honorable members? I will then allow you space. Order, honorable members. The order was raised with regards to the honorable member casting aspersions on the President, and accordingly, honorable members, can you please take your seat? I have not recognized you, Honorable Shibambo. Can you please take your seat? I have not concluded. Honorable member, can you allow me please to conclude? Honorable Malema, you can take the podium, but please, can you please withdraw, or rather not repeat what you have said earlier on as you proceed with your speech? Honorable members, please, can you? Honorable members, honorable members. Honorable Malema, can you sit down? Honorable Shibambo.
On a point of order, House Chair, we are going to forgive you because you are new, you don't know the rules of this Parliament. When a point of order is raised, you must specify the rule and the specific sentence or a phrase that you say this is a violation of the rules of the National Assembly. What the Commander-in-Chief is doing is to give a political characterization of a phenomenon. That is a point of debate. It's not casting aspersions. How else do we deal with political questions without giving context to what got to transpire to where we are now? Where else do we say that except here in this Parliament? You can't suppress political debate because of your misinterpretation and misunderstanding of the rules. Please allow the speech to finish. And then when we later on go to Rules Committee, we're going to illustrate to you with proper evidence when we're inducting you that the rules do not say what we are saying that you must withdraw. Please be patient with this process. We are going to understand them when time progresses. Currently, your application is incorrect.
Thank you, Honorable Shibambo. Honorable members, Rule 53 makes provision that if a member makes personal reflection on the member's integrity that are equally offensive or damaging, which cannot be necessarily be substantiated. Therefore, that should be done by a way of a motion so that a member can substantiate what he's been saying. At this point in time, Honorable Malema has cast aspersion against the president, which needs to be substantiated accordingly, and therefore the order remains sustainable. Honorable Malema, as you proceed with your debate, can you kindly refrain from making such aspersion? Thank you very much. You may proceed.
I must proceed. Thank you very much. It now explains as to why so many compromises and capitulations were made, leading to a situation where economic power remained in the hands of the white minority, leaving black people with meaningless political power. We can today confirm that it was pure infiltration by forces of darkness. When it was clear President Mandela is not going to make you the first deputy president of the democratically elected South African government in 1994, you threw tantrums and even boycotted his inauguration. The same President Mandela you asked us to celebrate yesterday, you missed the historic moment to do so in 1994 because of personal aggrandizement. Like many people in South Africa, I stood here in this house and said we will give you the benefit of the doubt, believing that the allegations against you of being a collaborator might not be true. I will tell why I'm giving you this personal account. It is necessitated by your activities, actions, and decisions over the past weeks since the electoral defeat of the former liberation movement, which demonstrated clearly that in the battle against neo-apartheid and neo-colonialism, you chose the side of the oppressor like you did in the past, yet pretending to be with us, the oppressed people. Why will the apartheid beneficiaries say that among all black political leaders, you are the only one they can work with to an extent that you are called a better black with a better accent, and you believe them over us? They call us criminals who must be arrested, whether we have committed any crime or not, because we disagree with them politically, and you believe them over us. Your own brothers and sisters who come from Shawela and Venda with you are today looked down because of you. You have committed to be a representative of the oppressor. The white capitalist establishment is willing to turn a blind eye to even serious allegations of wrongdoing against you, because through you, they believe that they will perpetuate the exploitation of the oppressed class and reverse the gains of the political freedom attained in 1994. It doesn't matter what you say, but we want to state categorically that the coalition between the Democratic Alliance and the former liberation movement is a sellout position typical of collaborators who sacrifice and compromise the struggle against apartheid and colonialism. White minority arrogance has increased under your term of office. You should have seen them yesterday when you were speaking. It was like you are a true Tabaneka Koko Helen Zille. You boldly take this counter-revolutionary and reactionary decision. You have a full protection of white capitalists. All the things you said here, because they are exactly what you said in the 6 State of the Nation addresses you have given since you became president in 2018. None of the commitments you made during this State of the Nation addresses have been met. You state here that the vision you are operating under is still the National Development Plan Vision 2030, whose targets have never been met and will never be met. The NDP had targeted to create a certain number of jobs, but joblessness has increased. South Africa, our country, is being traded. We, the progressive forces, need to constitute an alternative radical agenda. Let us do everything in our power to rescue our country from being traded on a silver platter. We call on all workers' movement, civil society, religious leaders, and traditional leaders to reject this grand coalition led by DA under the pretense of the so-called government of national unity. We as the EFF will not form decoy of the so-called national dialogue, which happens after the government has already committed budgets and programs to this agenda. We are not in the business of shows. We are in an agenda to realize through economic emancipation of our people, and no matter what it takes, we will never associate with the collaborator of the establishment. Erekele botse nonyana phaku ebiale a re tshoshi ke maru a utla bosele ba le matric wo asankang aba subjected to a peer review comes here and calls us VBS looters. I understand the mind of a rat will not comprehend that is actually sitting with VBS looters themselves in the government of national unity. The same matriculant is a beneficiary of the loot of 20 billion of Steenhuisen that was invested by public investment, by PIC. No amount of nonsensical threats of arrest can silence us. Not even death can silence us, because Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela's voice has multiplied. Ours is a generational mission. We shall overcome. Victory is certain. We want to tell you now, your days are numbered. Thank you very much.